I'd love to start with first, who are you? What did you do? What do you do? Maybe give us a little background of who you are.
Sure. Well, first, thank you for having me on. My name's Ernesto Maldonado. I'm a senior vice president, head of escrow and legal vertical here at Enterprise Bank and Trust. We're headquartered in St. Louis, Missouri. I am here in Southern California, Southern Orange County. Enterprise Bank and Trust, full service bank. The specialty side, however, is just deals with HOA, tech, escrow, legal, things that are kind of on the fringe. We mostly service investment banks, broker dealers, M&A attorneys, security attorneys, those types of verticals. Yeah, that's basically it.
That's cool.
I did my MBA to study for these kinds of things. I love the space that we're in. We get to see something new every day, whether it's tech, whether it's a need that is being fulfilled, and raising capital is high stakes, but it
Yeah.
is very fun.
Yeah. So it looks like from your background, you've worked at a number of sort of California banks, pretty, four, looks like maybe three or four stops. What's been sort of a common thread that you've seen, kind of through all the banks that you still see to this day?
So yeah, and I've been in banking now 23 years. I worked across, from small community banks all the way through your large, big banks. Thread that I see here most commonly is that there's no true knowledge to the type of industry that we're in. To get to a certain level and to have that expertise, you have to have been in banking for a while. It's not something you could just pick up and go. I started doing this specific vertical about 10 years ago. So about 13 years in my career. And now, I consider myself seasoned, and
Hmm.
there's so many things that change specifically with Reg CF, everything, it ebbs and it flows. There's seasonality to it. So the common thread here is that if you're not in it, and you're jumping into it, it's very hard to get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same thing on my end. Every single person I'm hiring, I'm like, you got about a year of just learning language, verbiage, what we can and
Yeah.
can't do, compliance. Like, I don't care that you did a marketing campaign for a consumer goods product. That ain't what we doing over here. The other interesting thing I saw in your background a little bit is your time with the Chamber of Commerce. What was that like in terms of maybe facing with entrepreneurs, startups, and that sort of capacity as opposed to maybe where you are right now?
Well, you're ground level. When you're in the Chamber of Commerce, you're literally there. You're in the basement or the first floor. And there's a lot of people, starting on a business, whether it's a law firm or, a service provider like an insurance company or anything like that. You really get to see the inner workings and how they start their business and how raising capital or anything like that is a need
Hmm.
specifically for that, ground level type of business. But yeah, I was at the Irvine Chamber of Commerce for a while. Grew up, basically cut my teeth there. I got to speak to a lot of cool individuals, a lot of different types of businesses, some that are still around, some that are not. So yeah.
Yeah. What do most people not know maybe about third party escrow services? I mean, I think we're in the weeds here right now. So obviously we're talking to people that have at least started to explore raising capital or they are. So what should they know? What should they be thinking about when they're thinking about using a service like you guys offer?
So there's a lot of pitfalls to not using an escrow. For us, we take on the risk. We do all the kind of the legwork. We put the agreement. It protects all the parties that are involved and it's transparent, right? So if you ever get audited or anything happens, you have a third party that has all that paperwork there for you. Sometimes escrows are not needed, but we still push for them because
Hmm.
of that specific reason. A lot of attorneys hold investment capital funds for their clients, and that's not a way to do it either. So a lot of people think that it's an extra cost. It's very affordable actually, and let somebody else do the heavy lifting while you focus on what you do is what you're great at is your business.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess for our completely new newbies out there who have never even thought about this, maybe talk through us a little bit about just where you fit in the processes, when you guys would come in, how early they should be thinking about you, and then ultimately just what is the core service that it really is just for the layman out there.
Sure. So we're fiduciary when it boils down to it is we manage the money for you. So there's no counterparty risk. There's no, he said, she said, if there's refunds from investors, we take care of all that for you.
Right now.
So the earlier the better, right? A lot of the times we're brought in, on the 11th hour and we can manage those types of transactions. They're bumped up to the top, obviously. A lot of international transactions, specifically Canadian transactions, but, put us in early, but it doesn't have to be early. We could come in at any point. Usually, if you're using a platform or if you're using a broker dealer, they've already identified who they're going to use as their escrow agent or whether they need an escrow agent or not. They bring us in, we collect all the information separately. We work concurrently with either the platform, your broker dealer, or an attorney who's doing a private placement for you. So, the earlier the better, but we could be brought in at any point throughout the process. The good thing about using people that are seasoned in the escrow industry is that they could turn things around quickly, right? The
Right.
hardest
Right.
part is collecting the paperwork, but our agreements are pretty reviewed annually. So we're in par with the SEC and everything that happens, all the ebb and change that goes through that. So, yeah, bring us in early, but it doesn't have to be, it could be at the 11th hour if need be.
Yeah. With all the stuff that you've seen and being seasoned, where do you think business owners sort of trip up the most or underestimate, you know, all of the stuff we're kind of talking about right now? Where do you see the biggest pitfalls?
That's a great question, Jeff. I think the biggest thing is the documentation and the amount of things that they have to provide. A lot of
Yeah.
people think it's easy, right?
Hmm.
It's like as you said, it's a cutthroat game. It's high stakes. There's a lot of moving parts. The more people that you have working for you, the better it is, right? The easier it becomes for you. Let the experts handle the expert stuff. So yeah, a lot of things here is that they have to provide all the information, whether they want to use a special vehicle to raise the capital,
Hmm.
how they want to designate it, how they're going to pay out, what they're going to disperse. There's a lot of things to consider. And I think the more you know how you want to manage the flow of the capital that you're raising, the best.
And is there a difference between a Reg CF, a Reg D, Reg A's, 506Cs, 506Bs? Again, I might be giving
But
language that you and I might know, but for our people
yeah.
out there, different sort of vehicles to raise capital, is there differences that are happening behind the scenes for your world?
No, not at all. We saw a huge uptick in Reg CF. It's always been, a product that people will lean on a lot.
Hmm.
And with the SEC shutting down, right, the Reg D, the Reg A is kind of funneled in, right? Those were a lot
Hmm.
harder to do. We're seeing a lot now in our space is Reg A plus to an IPO. We see
Mm.
that a lot. We did a few of them last year. But right now, Reg CF, we're doing about 4 to 6 of them a week on the
Okay.
escrow side. We're just kind of trading through them. For us, it doesn't matter what it is. We kind of take them as they come in and then we put them in the correct agreement, execute it, et cetera. But we have seen a large uptick in the Reg CF side and the Reg A2.
Right, right. Wow, that's cool. That's interesting. I want to talk a little bit about maybe this interest rates right now,
Yeah,
tighter
yeah.
credit conditions. How is that impacting your world as we're speaking?
So, you know, if you would have asked me 3 weeks ago, I would have said that rates are probably going to stay pat, or if not, go up, depending on what things happen. We just have a new chair that's coming in, or if
Hmm.
not coming, I'm not too savvy on it, but I know somebody else
Yeah.
is coming in. Depending on what happens, right now rates seem to be staying pat, and not to get into the weeds, but it does affect everything that we do. Where people now are used to, or were used to getting a certain rate for their funds that they place with us, to now that rate's starting to dwindle
Mm,
down. Where
mm,
we used to pay effective federal funds rate, to now it's a percentage of the effective federal funds rate that we pay,
mm.
because
Interesting.
monies are there. That's
Right.
not, it doesn't sleep. Money doesn't sleep. It's always going to be there, but the rate
Yeah.
does
Mm.
diminish.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, yeah. I was wondering about this. What your answer to this question was going to be when I when I was typing it up earlier. I was like, huh. I wonder where he's going to go with this one because I
Yeah,
agree
I
with you.
mean,
A couple weeks ago, it felt a little different. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for sure. I mean, we could really go deep into it, but then I'll start talking economist stuff. And I was at the economic forecast 3 weeks ago, literally on a Thursday, and then the conflict started on a Saturday. So what
yeah.
we were talking about was how the rates are static right now. If the rates were to go down anymore, CPI is going to be affected. There's a lot of variables that are there that it will affect ultimately the economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just, don't want to go into the weeds too much, but
Yeah.
if it stays pat,
I-
it's a good thing.
Is there any influence just on a global scale as opposed to maybe just what's happening here that might impact any of this that people could be thinking about? I know something happening in the UK or Australia. Like would that have any impact on your world?
No, not really. I mean, there's local businesses here or businesses within the US are still going to want to raise capital. They're still going to do what they're going to do. The M&A world it was churning. It's still churning. It's still going. We saw an uptick from last year, this year. I don't know how Q3 right now is going to look, but as of right now, things are good. The only
Okay.
sectors that are being affected is obviously the energy sectors, so the renewable
Mm,
energy stuff. But tech is still strong. AI is strong. I mean, we're doing a capital raise for airplane company right now. I mean,
mm,
there's just a lot of stuff, a lot of
yeah.
good stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Funny thing is, nobody knows. You know.
Nobody does. No, that is the truest statement here. When you look at a deal that goes smoothly, closes, just everything was perfect, and one that falls apart maybe at the finish line or right at the end, what's maybe a big difference, and then where does a good banker kind of fit into either make it smooth or potentially have a deal kind of blow up? Where do you sort of see bankers fitting into that on the good and the bad?
You know, that's an interesting question because a lot of the times things are not depending on the banker. We could do and we could line everything up. We could send an alley oop to a perfect dunk, but sometimes it's not there. Uh, there's two raises that actually failed this week that we did that we had to return all the funds for. And it's just sometimes a lot of these businesses have a concept and they want to start with, five, six, seven capital raises. Like, yeah, you're going to fly over your skis a little bit. Our
Yeah.
job is to be able to tell them, hey, this is what we've seen in the past and kind of guide them a little bit. But it's not always the case that they're going to listen to you. So we could set everything
Yeah.
up. We could do everything, the stars may align and yet the raise may fail.
Yeah.
On the other side of the coin, it's, when we put everything together, you got a good team behind you, the race goes beautifully. And then you sit back and you're like, wow, that was too easy. You know, it's having the
Yeah.
expertise, having the people there. Like we've worked a lot with digital offering out in New York. And typically when we work with those guys, all those raises are pretty like smooth, smooth
Mm,
butter.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you build that trust with maybe a young company who has never worked in this private banking type sector? How do you just sort of build that trust and communicate with them?
Anytime we get an introduction to somebody that's raising capital, we always schedule a call to get to know what they do, what their product is, what they're raising
Hmm.
capital for. And then you tell them a little bit about kind of how we're dialoguing here, a little bit about the bank, what we do, our experience and our expertise, the type of deals that we've done in the past. And they're able to see within the first 2, 3 minutes, like this person knows what they're talking about, or
Yeah.
this person's, full of air.
Yeah.
And I think setting up that trust rapport, is always important. And it just kind of flows from there. You get it right off the top, like it's good working with somebody. You feel good. There's a mutual connection there. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there verticals uh, that you guys don't work on, or you try to stay away from, or is it all of the above?
We do everything. I mean, we do capital raises. Wait, let me fix that. We do not do cannabis touching businesses, if that
Okay.
makes sense. It's
Yeah.
still federally regulated. We have done in the past cannabis related deals. Like we did a raise for a machine that rolls up joints that, people put in dispensaries. But the machine itself, when you're raising capital for the machine, it's not touching any cannabis or anything like
Yeah.
that. The end result might be that. So yeah, we do anything and everything. We also have a regular client of ours that does animal husbandry and it sells hoofed animals to zoos, private collectors, and ranches. And they do
Okay.
about 4 or 5 raises a year. They raise a few million every single time for the process of the mating to rearing to sell of that asset.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some pretty interesting ones. We did one that shoots cargo to space. We've done some
Right.
AI. We've done a lot of cool different,
Yeah.
companies. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's no limit to what we could do. We always talk to the people. We get to know what their business is, and we're able to know pretty quick there.
Yeah, that's interesting. You probably are similar to mine. I was just talking to one of my clients a minute ago about in the matter of 3 hours, I can talk about a beverage brand,
Yes.
investing in something in Greenland, down to space, to a guy who's just tinkering in the garage, all in like 3 hours. And you're like, all right, all right, all right.
Yeah, that's the beauty of what we do, Jeff, is that we have a different flavor every week or even every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is wild. So from your seat, what is one of the biggest financial blind spots that you see in sort of small and mid-sized business owners? What are they not thinking of typically?
I think a lot of people underestimate the cost of doing business.
Yes,
And
yes.
a lot of the times what happens is that they don't properly manage their COGS, the cost of goods,
Yep.
or what they're doing. And then they kind of run into that pinch. And
Mhm.
that's what I see the most. Or they overvalue their business and what it is that they're doing. And
Yep.
then the response is not as what they liked. And that's when you have failed raises and things like that. So those are the two biggest things that I see. The most
Yeah.
successful businesses that I see are the ones that start small. They take baby steps. They learn how to walk.
Mm,
They learn how to jog, and then they're sprinting. Those
yeah.
are the best
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. If a company was getting ready and they wanted to be acquired in, let's say, the next 3 to 5 years for them, what would you be doing to maybe make sure that everything behind the scenes is all buttoned up, all clean? Would you guys have your hands in that process?
I mean, I would love to be in that process. They talk to us a little bit. Typically, no, to answer your
Yeah.
question, but maybe 6 months to a year away. Yes, if it's a client that
Hmm.
we already have, a relationship with. But my advice for those people is be your CPA's best friend. A lot of the
Mm,
time, when you're going into the acquisition, when you're going to be acquired or you're acquiring, your financials have to be spot on, right? A lot of things that we see
yeah.
when we do the M&A escrows is, well, there's a shortfall here, or, this is overestimated or underestimated. And then you have to kind of scramble at the last minute and the LOI could fall through, and then there's no
Yeah.
purchase sell agreement. There's nothing. So
Right.
have a close relationship with your CPA. Make sure that you're still getting your audits regularly. All the numbers are making sense, and adjust accordingly. For example, the people that are in business right now that are growing with the markets the way they are right now, you're adjusting every day.
Yeah. 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 How's technology changing or affecting what you do on a day-to-day basis with AI, fintech, all, different apps, whatever it might be? How does technology work in your space right now?
I think technology is a tsunami. AI is a tsunami. And if you don't have your surfboard or your kayak, then you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
Right now, on the bank itself, on the banking side, on the specialty side, on the escrow side, which is what we do, we're adopting all the technology we could to work with platforms via API connections, via some kind of working together, right? Sharing files, doing all that to make things easier for broker dealers. The more they could do, or the platforms, the more they could do, the more things they could get done, the more business they could generate. So we're
Sure.
trying to facilitate those things across the board. And we see it all the time. All the banks are API, doing the API. It's, that's a big word. It's more integration than just APIs.
Right, right, right. I want to talk a little bit about maybe like competitive landscaping and between maybe what from a community bank, a regional bank, big nationals. Just where do you see kind of competition in that space and going after people raising capital and just what does that landscape kind of look like from your eyes?
So the big banks are always going to have their people that they deal with, right? They have the law firms, they have your top, your big four accounting firms, your big five law firms. They're going to have those clients all the time.
Hmm.
For us, we're a regional bank. As a regional bank, we constantly have to be out there talking to people, getting to know people, and that's kind of the ground level for us. We meet um, an array of people at conferences, or just like how I met you,
Yeah, right.
and then it's up to us to make those relationships work. The smaller banks trying to get into this space, if they don't adopt technology or the expertise, are going to get left behind. I feel that us as an institution where we're at right now, we're poised to compete with all the big banks, except that we have one thing that they don't have is that we have people like myself and my team that are still there. There's no red tape. We are the decision makers. The bank has allowed us to make those decisions based on the raises that we do, how we do them, etc. So for us, is being able to move more agile, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was just thinking in my brain. It sounds more agile that you
Yeah.
can maybe push something through that makes sense, or
Yeah.
there could be just something that you've been really been working on. If you could give one piece of financial advice to every small business owner that's listening right now, what would that be?
Number one, remember why you started your business, right?
Yeah.
Because you started it because you loved what you did, right? That's the number one
Hmm.
thing. Never forget that. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to get in the way: money, politics, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Don't forget that one reason, right?
Yeah.
And second is always keep a little bit of debt, but don't overextend yourself.
Yeah.
Once you reach that point, there's no going back.
Yeah. You used the term earlier, the keeping your skis under you. That we use that one in my business all the time with,
Yeah,
yeah, let's not get our skis too far out ahead of us. That is not
yeah.
a good place to be in.
That's a
Yeah.
good
So
old banking term. That one and money doesn't sleep. Those are my
yeah,
two favorite ones.
I like both those. I use those myself in my my bebopping and scatting with clients. Well, if people want to dive in, learn more, connect with you, where should we send people?
So they could just shoot us an email or shoot me an email directly or go to our website, enterprisebankandtrust.com/specialty. That's where they'll find us, all our information. You'll actually get to talk directly to either myself or my colleague Julie or Rachel. That's our team. We're small but mighty. We have almost managed over $1 billion in deposits with the bank. So yeah,
Right. That's cool. Well, Ernesto, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I thought this was going to be a
thank
great
you.
conversation just to put out a lot of education, be in the weeds a little bit on this, and just talk about kind of some of the non-sexy stuff that might be happening
Yeah,
underneath these raises, but are very, very, very important. Where I'm
yeah,
like, no,
that's
we
true.
have to do it the right way. I understand we can make Facebook ads all day, but we got
Yeah,
to do this behind the
yeah,
scenes.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Thank you so
For
much,
all my
Jeff. I
listeners,
really appreciate
yeah,
it.
I appreciate it too. Yeah, for all my listeners out there, I'll have all the links in here. Go check it out. Connect with them. I'll have LinkedIn as well out there and email, and just connect. Ernesto's a good guy. We've probably known each other a little over a year now, maybe
Yeah,
actually maybe a
yeah,
little bit longer.
almost
But
3 years. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, good stuff here. I always enjoy finding people in this space. We're in the same sandbox.
yeah.
Dealing with our world here. Ernesto, thank you so much for your time. I'll let you get back to it.
Thank you,
Appreciate you.
sir. Take care.